The most successful teams have one thing in common. They've mastered the art of creating a dynamic where feedback flows naturally in all directions. Mastering feedback is more about creating space for truth to emerge than anything else. I'm Denise Miller, your Leadership Lady Live, and I would love for you to remember to like, subscribe, and share if you like my content. Now, let's get back to feedback. All of that feedback dynamic starts with how feedback is treated in most organizations. Most organizations treat it like a necessary evil when it's really a competitive advantage. People avoid giving feedback because they fear conflict, as we stated earlier. They avoid receiving feedback because they take it personally as an offense. In the midst of these attitudes, though, miscommunications multiply, talent goes undeveloped and is wasted, while teams operate at a mere fraction of their potential. Understand that feedback is not the problem. Poor feedback is the problem. Effective feedback can become the engine that drives continuous improvement, builds stronger relationships, and creates psychological safety for members of your team. The art of giving feedback lies in making it feel like a gift, the gift that it really is, rather than as a punishment. The situation, behavior, impact model helps to make that work. Here's an example of what that looks like. In yesterday's meeting, when you interrupted Sarah 3 times, I noticed how uncomfortable all of the attendees looked. Sarah stopped contributing. She was obviously uncomfortable as well. That feedback is objective, specific, and focused on observable behavior. Remember that timing matters enormously. Share your feedback as close to the event as possible when emotions aren't running high and when you have privacy. Don't wait for the perfect moment. That perfect moment rarely comes. Remember that you are giving a gift. Proceed with curiosity and not judgment, because curiosity will open the dialogue while judgment triggers defensiveness. Make that conversation developmental, not punitive. And always frame your feedback as a growth opportunity. Remember to follow up consistently, to be sure to check in on progress, to offer support, and be sure to acknowledge improvement when it happens. Now, receiving feedback is where most people struggle because our brains are wired to protect our self image. First, manage your initial reaction when you're receiving feedback. A defensive feeling is normal. Take a breath, resist the urge to explain or justify, and just remember that feedback is information, not a verdict. Then ask some clarifying questions like, can you give me a specific example? Or what would you like to see me do differently? Understand that no matter how you feel about a person's motives, there might be valuable insights there. So look for them. Look for that kernel of truth, even in poorly delivered feedback. And by thanking the person who dared to give you feedback, because that does take a lot of courage as well. This doesn't mean that you agree with everything that they said, but you are acknowledging the fact that they said it. You're acknowledging their courage and sharing their perspective. And a sincere thank you for bringing this to my attention goes a long way. Don't just wait for others to give you feedback. Actively seek it out. Ask questions like, what's one thing I can do to be more effective in this role? Or, How did that presentation that I made land with you today? When your entire team masters both sides of feedback, the giving and the receiving, magic happens. It requires intentional practice. A few ways to make feedback the norm in your team are first, that you model the behavior that you want to see. Share the feedback that you've received and share how you're working on it so that you can show your team that feedback is normal, not failure. Second, create feedback rituals, project retrospectives, monthly feedback rounds, or feedback Fridays where people can share input that they've been holding back. Have team members share one thing they appreciate about each other's work and one area that they see for growth. The key words here are structured and safe. Third, address feedback failures immediately when someone gets defensive or dismissive. Address it in the moment. Say something like, I noticed this conversation got tense. Let's reset and try again. This requires time and it requires training. Connect with me to develop feedback training for your team. Remember, teams that master feedback don't just perform better, they enjoy working together more. They trust each other more, they grow faster, and as a result, the team's performance skyrockets. The art of feedback isn't just a professional skill, it's the foundation of every high performing team. I challenge you to identify one piece of feedback you need to give and give it this week. And then one area where you need to ask for input and that you would ask for the input. Don't just wait for the perfect moment. Start the conversation today. Always remember, done is better than perfect. You can fix the imperfect. You can't fix what was never done. And if you're serious about elevating your leadership to the next level, I invite you to join the High Road Leadership Mastermind, which is starting July 8th. It will be running 4 Tuesdays through July 29th. We'll spend 4 intensive weeks together, just 75 minutes each time, diving into leadership practices that create exceptional teams and cultures. You'll develop practical, actionable strategies that you can implement immediately. The feedback skills we talked about today just scratch the surface of what we'll cover in High Road Leadership Masterminds. If you're ready to take the high road, message me here via email or on my website. Now remember to click the like, subscribe or follow, and share this information with someone you know who you know I don't know so that they can benefit from it as well. Thank you so much for taking the time with me today and have a wonderful balance of the weekend.